The agriculture industry is the latest to receive a sort of financial lifeline from the federal government in the wake of COVID-19. $252 million today. That funding includes $125 million to help beef and pork producers keep animals for longer. It has to do with their planning, of course. $77 million to help people working in food processing plants stay safe with personal protective equipment, as well as a $50 million buyback program for excess food at risk of going to waste. Representatives of the sector, though, say it isn't enough. The Canadian Federation of Agriculture was asking for $2.6 billion. Marie-Claude Bibeau is the federal agriculture minister. She's in the foyer, of the House of Commons. Hi, Minister Bibeau. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Minister, the Canadian Federation of Agriculture was asking for $2.6 billion. That's more than $2 billion over what you announced today, $252 million. Why is what you announced today so short of that ask?
Well, we can't forget about the business risk management programs. It includes more or less $1.6 billion of assistance per year. And actually, one of the messages that we are saying today to the farmers, it's important to apply to these programs. They are there, and the money is just waiting to be distributed. And this is why we have made some administrative, improvement to these programs. I understand that they wanted to be more generous, and we are open to add some more financial assistance, but the first step is to proceed with these programs, and we have added some specific money for the meat sector this morning.
Minister, those business risk management programs that you refer to, there's already some concerns that have been raised well in advance of this crisis around them. The CFA, for example, says that it worries that the government's position on using those existing programs before rolling out additional funds will result in support arriving too late to make a substantial and positive impact on domestic food security. Even if, Minister, you were to add what you spend on those programs with what you announced today, it's still well short of what the industry itself says it needs in order to be at least a little bit stable during this crisis.
I understand their concerns, and we are putting more money on the table for the meat sector, for the processing sector, to buy also from the sectors who are having so much surplus production in hand to support the food bank. So we are moving forward, but there is still money on the table that they don't come and take. And I think it's important if they do need this money. I know they want more, but let's start, with what we have in our hands right now, and we will keep doing better and giving more in the coming weeks.
So, sorry, let me just clarify, Minister. What do you mean that there's still money on the table? Are you saying that farmers are not using the money that you're offering?
Well, the agri-stability program, for example, it's a program that will ensure the farmers if they have a significant loss of revenues. I hear them loud and clear. It's a bit complicated, and they would like this program to be more generous and to make changes to this program, because it has been cut by the Conservative by $400 million. But now we have to get an agreement with all the provinces to change the rules of this program. But the program is still there. So this morning I announced some administrative changes to the program to make it a bit simpler. For example, they can use an online calculator to do their projection, how much money they can get from the program. And they can apply and receive up to 75%, depending on the province, either 75% in advance. So it's a way to get money reasonably quickly. And once again, we understand they want it to be more generous, but let's start with this, and we are open to put more money afterward.
Okay, Minister, I just point out that the farmers we've been speaking with have said that they've been asking for those reforms for years, not just in light of this pandemic or this crisis. I do want to also ask you about what some of the farmers said in reaction to the announcement today. And they point to aid that you've announced for other sectors so far, and they're asking us whether the size and speed of the aid you announced for their sector, for agri-food today, is reflective at all of a lack of political interest on your party's part in what matters to them. What do you say to those farmers?
Now, we understand how important food security is, obviously, and that farmers, those who are in the field feeding us, responsible for feeding the country, are under a lot of pressure right now, and we want to support them. And this is why I'm trying to put out all the programs we have to add for those who are facing maybe some of the most difficult period right now around food processing. And as the Prime Minister said this morning, we know that we have to do more, and this is what we're going to do in the coming weeks.
If you know that more is required, why wouldn't you come to the table now prepared to say how much more you plan to give to address the problems in the sector, and when? All we heard so far from the Prime Minister was that more could come, might come, but there's no details attached to that.
Well, a lot of these programs, or the support we can give, is in partnership with the provinces, because agriculture is a shared responsibility. This is one part of the discussion we have to have. And we also have to identify clearly where are the gaps between the programs that we can already offer and what is needed in addition to it. So this is why today we've started with the meat sector. We know there's more to do, and we have already done quite a bit with around the temporary foreign workers. We knew it was very, very important for the horticultural sector, so we are moving forward.
A big part of why this discussion is happening, of course, is what's going on at Cargill. Half of the workers there, nearly half of the 2,000 workers there have contracted COVID-19. What responsibility, now that the plant has reopened, does the federal government have to ensure the safety of the workers at that plant?
Well, it's a teamwork between the owner of the plant, the provincial public health department, and the federal. So we are working together. At the federal level, we are providing guidance, and it's really the provincial public health department who's responsible to provide more detailed recommendation or protocols to the owner, to the processor, so the processor can put in place the right measures to protect the workers. And today we are announcing $77 million to support these processors to retrofit within their plants, to buy new equipment, eventually buy PPE, for example. So this is our part that we are bringing in addition to the high-level guidance that we are also giving to the public health department.
Will Cargill be will Cargill rather be able to avail itself of some of that $77 million?
Yes, we will. We still have a bit of work to do to identify, to define very clearly the criteria, but the objective behind this program is to increase our meat processing capacity while protecting better our workers.
Cargill is a huge company, and the workers that CBC has heard from are upset with the way in which that company has navigated their own safety. Obviously, the company contends that they did something different, but we are hearing from workers who are worried about it. Why should federal taxpayers, why should the government be subsidizing a job that most Canadians would expect big companies like Cargill to be able to take care of themselves?
Well, we are all going through unprecedented reality, and we all have to work together and make sure that our food workers are protected, because they are essential workers, and we will try to, find the best balance, the right balance between how much we're going to support the bigger players, beside how much we're going to support the small and medium plants, and all these details still have to be defined.
And when will they be defined, Minister?
In the coming, very shortly, but let's say coming few weeks. So we have to also finish the work with the provinces, because it's a cost-shared program where the federal has committed to provide its 60% contribution to all the provinces, and we left open up to the province, each provinces, to decide whether or not they are going to contribute their share as well.
Okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you for your time, Minister Bibeau.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.